what that was supposed to signify.
I was gonna make
What's one of the stuff?
you go, yeah.
What should I say? What did that mean?
No, I thought of something else and it's gone now.
Okay.
It's all you.
Well, thanks for leaving me in the lurch. I'm just gonna start. A New Year's joke from one of Patrick's uncles. Oh my Jesus.
Sorry.
Okay, now I'm gonna start. A New Year's joke from one of Patrick's uncles. I'm half good at time travel. I keep going forward. I just can't go back. I laid in your spot on the bed like I could still touch you. Like I could reach through dimensions and you'd still be there. Like your head was on the pillow next to my head. Like when I screamed, you would hear me and wake up. Now, the haze that has been coming and going from our region all summer is gone for the moment. Somewhere across the lake, fires are still burning. It would be an apt metaphor for grief, I think, if I didn't hate grief metaphors. There are a million of them, and they all fall flat. No matter how well they might describe some aspect of the experience, none of them convey how it actually feels. Maybe because all of them seem a little too positive, in my opinion at least. Is grief a rock in my pocket that I have to carry forever? No, my grief is not in my pocket. It's inside my body. It's made of rotting horse meat. If I want to continue living, I have to eat some of it every day. In my mouth, it mixes with ash. In my gut, it churns through gravel. And even that description is only part of it. Nothing touches how this really feels. Patrick died by suicide in November. I'm scared to even talk about it because I can see the recoil in people's eyes when I do. It's not their fault, but I don't want to stand there like a stupid little grim reaper while they process the information. It's also complicated. Sometimes I fear that people can smell the rot emanating from me. It rises up like bile in my mouth whenever someone asks me how I'm doing. I swallow it back down, sure I will repel people with the truth. But then the second fear, that I seem too okay, that I seem over it, that I'm acting just fine. Some people say grief is a form of love. Some people say they hold grief close because it connects them to their loved one. I don't feel I have a choice to hold it or not. It's existence. August. I'm digging out the fire pit in the backyard. First layer. Scaly remnants of burned sheets of paper, chunks of charcoal, broken green glass. Second layer. Shovelfuls of gray, mealy ash. A walnut shell, petrified and black. I keep digging. Bottle caps appear like ancient coins, dented and worn. Great Lakes, Guinness, Shiner Bock. They're not special, they're not rare. They're just ephemera from a world that no longer exists. Last summer we visited the glacial grooves at East Harbor State Park. It's an area of exposed bedrock, scoured by the same immense sheets of ice that created the Great Lakes. We stood on it, the unassuming gray stone with long slashes carved across the surface, like the tracks of a dozen bike tires over mud. I laid down on the grooves and felt the warm stone through the back of my shirt. It was evening. Patrick sat beside me and we talked about something. I wish I could remember the conversation, write that it was something meaningful about Earth or time, but it was probably about what we wanted for dinner. Do you remember the stories we'd make up? Ghosts, fairies, time machines, cities made of frozen rivers we could skate across as spies. Now, there are sentences in my brain that I won't let myself write. There's a video on my phone of the two of us in our Denver apartment that I listen to when I want to hear his voice. I run my tongue along the inside of my teeth and think about my skull. This will probably not be coherent. Maybe it won't make any sense. My memories are foggy, full of holes. Times and places swim and bleed. I spin into each day without an anchor from before. I am secretly, not very secretly, scared of the future. When I was 18 and 19 years old, I used to write in my journal almost every day. Sometimes I'd even write during my lunch break at work, hunched over and furiously scribbling the entry on spare paper, which I'd staple or tape into the journal when I got home. I tried to capture every detail, every feeling. Maybe because I wrote so much of it down, I remember that period of my life with surprising clarity. It's only now beginning to fade, along with my memory of everything. It seems like Patrick's death is swallowing up my ability to recall what happened months ago, last summer, the summer before that, the year before that one. I can't remember which coat you were wearing when you walked out the door for the last time. How can I not remember? January. My brother Luke is visiting from Germany, the first time he's been here in almost 4 years. The last time I saw him, we threw darts and shot BB guns in the basement, got drunk and sentimental listening to country music. This is just like old times, but it's also new and strange because all three of us siblings, me, Luke, and our youngest brother Paul, are all adults at the same time. Luke takes us to one of his old hangouts, a dingy pool club where cigarette smoke makes a haze under fluorescent lights. We shoot pool, and I am, as usual, very bad at it. I am, as usual, enjoying it very much. Memories try to resurface. Denver and El Paso, tarantulas and barracudas and cliques. A pitcher of Coors and tall steins of Shinerbach. Patrick and I chasing the 8-ball around the table, wasting another Western Sunday afternoon. The memories flicker, as if glimpsed through flames. Now, I leave the lights on in the house a lot, even when I leave or go to bed. I always leave the light over the sink on, which is probably normal, but I also left a string of Christmas lights up in the kitchen and put star-shaped lights around my bed. I leave on the string lights that hang around the front windows. Someone once said that from the outside, it looks like my house is on fire. Good. I want to be safe and warm. December. I have to tell the girl at the bank that my husband is dead. Her hands pause over the keyboard, white gold bands clean as snow on her left ring finger. She stares at me and says, "That is like my actual worst nightmare." I want to say, yeah, no shit. Now, I learned in my support group that it's normal to relive the event or to replay the days and hours leading up to his death over and over again in my head, like a detective looking for clues, boiling alive in my own regrets. May. The cottonwood seeds begin to fall, and I know it's time to go to Huntington Beach. I've gone at this time every year since moving back to Cleveland, a tradition started by accident. So I take a towel and headphones and get there before 10 a.m., when the beach is still mostly empty. A couple of older women sit at the lip of the waves, picking tiny flecks of beach glass out of the pebbles. A man walks his dog along the tree line. A mother sits on the bench in the shade, talking on the phone while nursing her infant. I'm alone. I spread out my beach towel near the place where a creek emerges from the woods and cuts through the beach to meet the lake. There's a stand of cottonwoods here, their shade pulled back for morning. Over the creek rises a cliff of shale and clay. Swallows and swifts cross the spaces in between, soft dark angels of liminal things. I lie on my back and let the sun wash onto my skin for a while. Once it is high afternoon and the beach is full and a bottle breaks and the boys gather it up in their palms, cradling the clear shards, saying nobody step on it. Once I climb the cliff barefoot, slipping in the mud, madly telling the kids that in these woods there are fairies, and the youngest believes me. Once I walk to the very end of the beach and find a chimney in the water and step through thigh-lapping waves to stand on it, bare feet on bricks and mortar. And always there are cottonwood seeds falling, falling, falling like snow. August. I leave my window cracked open at night so I can hear the crickets. I've been waiting to hear them all summer. I realize that they only start singing around this time, the halfway mark, summer at its peak yet already in decline, singing me to sleep, singing the beginning of the end. Sometimes when I'm lying in the dark listening to them, I feel like I'm traveling through time. It feels just like childhood, and it feels just like last summer, and it feels just like now, like it's all happening at once in one sound. I dream you come back and I punch you over and over. I dream you come back and I bring you a cup of water. February. The lighthouse ghost story ends with a warning. Best not to go there on a rainy night or worse, a full moon. August. My daughter tells me she hears the clock. Tick-tock, she says. The clock face is a vinyl of Something by the Beatles, the song Patrick and I danced to at our wedding. Now I wonder if we should have picked a different song, one with less uncertainty in the lyrics. You're asking me, will my love grow? I don't know. I don't know. Good night, clock, my daughter says. June. Driving down to Virginia, the first road trip with just my daughter and me. She's a natural road tripper, holding my hand at every rest stop, eager to return to the car and keep going. We stop in Breezewood, PA, and she happily eats french fries with disturbing amounts of ketchup while I let the phone charge. Patrick and I used to talk about taking her on a road trip out west someday to show her some of the places we visited during the time we lived in Denver. The Rocky Mountains, the Black Hills, the Badlands, the Prairie. New Mexico and El Paso, my favorite. I think maybe that's still something I could do with her. The hopes are not the same, but hopes are still possible. In Virginia, we swim in a pool my daughter calls the Blue Water. I sit on Caroline's deck drinking and talking with her and Regis until 4 in the morning. The crows here have a different accent, a smoker's voice. My daughter and I sleep in a bed so big, soft, and white like a cloud. We go to a farmer's market and a neighborhood coffee shop where my daughter eats an entire bagel and I swill iced chai in the sun. I remember being here last summer when it was the 3 of us. I walked here to drink coffee and write in my notebook while Patrick took the baby for a walk around the neighborhood. I felt happy and lucky then. And now, the kids in their strollers, the adults chatting, the world moving around us. I feel happy and lucky again. March. I get off the highway in Cincinnati. On the top of a hill, orange sunset light washes down the side of a tall building. Deja vu, 2 summers ago. I swear I saw that same image from the back seat. But I couldn't have, I decide. The sun's angle would have been different, and didn't we get there earlier in the day? I can't remember it clearly. Memories glimpse through flames. Some Halloween, some New Year's, some bonfire. We're all free to act like dorks, sleeping by the fire, sleeping on the floor. We avoid St. Patrick's Day. Instead, we eat big dishes of pasta and watch a terrible mob movie. We drive to the hippie town and wander. We sit and stare out of the window of a coffee shop. We comb through used books. We peruse trinkets and oddities of all sorts. I feel okay, and I know it's only because my friends are so kind to me. This could be a scary thought, but it could also be a beautiful one. The view of the street below, the bank drive-through lit up all evening, the needling snowflakes that don't stick, the orange streetlight on the damp pavement, the concrete stairs leading down below the sidewalk to some place I don't know. But when we talk about death and dreams, that's where my mind imagines us. Dan says it feels like there's a universe where this never happened, but we missed it. At the wake, Regis said we're living in a different universe now. Why do we feel like we're exiles? Don't I belong here? Isn't this world still my home? January. I have to get out of this house. I think it must be crazy to stay here. There are so many memories. But if I wanted to leave all the memories behind, I'd have to leave this whole fucking city. Isn't this my home too? Isn't this city full of ghosts anyway? All cities are, but these ghosts are familiar. My friends are probably sick of hearing every time we go to the Kenilworth that my grandparents had their wedding reception in the apartment upstairs. While I'm drinking my Miller in the mirror, I imagine their footsteps overhead. My brother Paul once said Easter at church isn't a reenactment, it's really happening. He said it's quantum physics. I'm not into Easter or quantum physics, but I think I understand. This is what I felt when I laid down in the dark in our Denver apartment and heard the rain falling outside, and felt like I was simultaneously there and in my childhood bed and maybe also in the future. This future? Patrick loved that movie Interstellar, and now I imagine myself reaching through the black hole on that rainy night. All the rainy nights of my life, leafed together like pages in a book, stitched and bound with the sound of a downpour on pavement. What message would I send to the past if I could? I don't know. I don't know. June. A rabbit makes a nest in my backyard garden. Then it rains for a week. One evening I come outside and see that the mother rabbit has dug the nest open, and she's sitting in front of it, still as a stone. She runs when she sees me, so I check the nest. The baby rabbit's drowned. I can't just leave dead rabbits in the garden, so I pick them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Less than a week old, palm-sized and perfect, their eyes still closed. I bury them under the bushes. My friend comes over to help me uncurse the yard. To be honest, cursed isn't really the word, but I don't know what else to call it. It doesn't feel like home anymore. So we burn things and walk widdershins. Cardboard and cauldron, barefoot circles around the bird bath, lightning bugs and cowboy wine. July. A rabbit makes a nest in the garden again. A few nights later, a storm pours down, thunder and rain and hail the size of my fingertips. I line a basket with a fleece blanket and go outside to the nest. It's filling like a cup. The rabbits are huddled at the lip of the nest, their heads lifted up, their eyes still closed. I pick them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They spend the night in the basket next to my bed, and they're back in their nest at dawn. We do this every time it rains, until their eyes are open and their ears are up, and one Sunday they've outgrown the nest for good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A do-over. February. I squint into the sun over the parking lot. On the horizon, the ocean moves like beautiful TV static. I watch a crow fly into a palm tree, and there goes another one following it. Their caws join and echo over the blacktop. The smell of trees and gasoline, flickering lamps in the dusk. A warm night in a city still makes me feel happy and lucky. In Savannah, the sun is so warm and bright. I'm happy just to sit on a windowsill and soak it in. Tugboats thrum in the river. White egrets hunt the roadside ditches. The chain-link sides of a bridge are crammed with heart-shaped locks, gleaming in the sun. I run between them, drumming my fingertips over Sharpie initials. Everything is beautiful through my red sunglasses. My rose-colored glasses, I guess. In this supposedly haunted city, I see no ghosts. April. A palm reader tells me, good news, you have a long life.
Thanks, Hannah. That was great. We're going to have R.A. Washington up next. Imminently.